Hey guys, Retro Reviews here again with another Transformers video review. I know it's been a little while since I've looked into some of these guys, but I wanted to get back out and get the rest of my collection up to date on the reviews. So I'm going ahead and starting off with reviewing the Voyager Class Evac figure from Cybertron. As you can see here, he is in his helicopter form. He is a Dolphin rescue helicopter. Now, one thing to note, I don't know how prevalent this breakage is going to be in for this figure, and mileage may vary. I did buy mine secondhand, and I didn't note it, like, both. It didn't actually start showing up until after I was messing around with it a little bit. But if you could see right here, I don't know how well that's coming up on my camera, but right in there is a little bit of a stress fracture on this landing gear piece. And as I was getting ready to transform this guy back into helicopter mode to review him, that happened. Where the it just disintegrated, basically. It had the landing gear that's supposed to be there actually fell off. It actually is holding in there right now pretty well, but it's probably not going to be able to withstand the weight of the figure. So go ahead and just set it down real quick. Okay, so it is actually withholding the weight, so that's a cool thing. So yeah, there is the helicopter form. Now, some things I want to point out with this helicopter and the differences between the Hasbro and the Takara release is that mainly the only difference is the shade of metallic blue that they used for these. It's actually a little bit more of it's a different color on the Japanese one for Live Convoy, but I do not remember what it, like, if it's more blue or more silver compared to this one. But they also do paint this whole section where you're seeing the yellow peek through in between the engine and the body. That's actually fully painted on the Japanese release. So the one big thing to note there. Now, for playability, this is, just saying right now, this is one of my favorite Earth vehicles for the Cybertron line because of how much playability Evac has in this mode. The landing gear does fold up, and we are never going to touch it again because it's going to just keep falling off now. I might be able to try to salvage that and glue it together, but I'm scared I might end up just fusing that piece in place, so I'll deal with that at a different date. But for gimmicks, we do have the this winch here on the side. You can bring it down, and it is on a cord. And then go ahead and push the little red button, and it draws the winch right back up. And then for the other play feature, we do have this giant orange knob sticking out of the side. And I'm pretty sure the colors are just throwing off my white balance really bad. It might get corrected when I upload this on YouTube, but anyways, okay. So yeah, there's this giant orange knob sticking out of the side of the engine. You give that a push, and the rotor blades spin, and they spin really well. And it actually spins like so seamlessly, like you can give that so many cranks on that, and it's not going to grind the gears at all. Not that bad, at least. Other helicopters throughout the early 2000s that have tried to incorporate that gimmick did it really bad, like Cyclonus and Bulkhead from Armada and Energon. Also, this actually is one of the one of my favorite cyber key gimmicks to use for vehicle mode. So we'll bring out his Cyber Planet key. This is the Gold Earth key. And this is actually the one that comes with this specific figure. So I do have the correct code on the back, which doesn't really pertain to anything anymore. But then you can go ahead and plug the key into the slot in behind the engine, and then those two rocket launchers pop out, and you can then go ahead and shoot the rockets, which do not want to go. There it goes. Yep, it's just, sorry about that, my dog just barked at nothing. But so yeah, those can just launch right out, and then you can swing them back around and then plug them back in. So there's that. I usually do use the Siege Optimus in truck mode and then the Ultra Magnus in robot mode for this size comparison, but I forgot to transform Siege Optimus and Ultra Magnus for this video review. In fact, I completely forgot to get them out. So instead, for robot mode comparison, we're going to compare it side by side with Siege Optimus here. And as you can see, that's pretty good sized for a Voyager back then. I can't get all of this in shot either, so there we go. So yeah, if you can see that. Remember, Voyagers were packaged in vehicle mode back in 2005. As you can see, he does take up quite a lot of space compared to a modern day Voyager, because still, even I can't get all of that in frame. And for vehicle mode comparison, real quick, I'll just do it with another recent figure, Ironhide from Siege. I say it recent, but they're like two years old now, and I haven't gotten the Earthrise updates for either of these. So, anyways, so yeah, but they're essentially the same thing. But Siege Ironhide next to the helicopter, that doesn't look too bad for a deluxe to Voyager scale. And now, harkening back to a little bit something more his timeline. Here he is with his partner, Crosswise, who is not sitting flush. Which, when I get into his video review and his transformation, you'll see why it's so hard to get him to sit flush on all four wheels. But yeah, so there's Evac with Crosswise. Now, onto the transformation. This is probably the most show-accurate transformation that any of the Cybertron figures have had, and that's saying something with how close to CGI accurate the toys are, or how toy accurate the CGI models are. So, yeah, that being said, first thing we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and take this front section down and detach it from the rest of the body, and then swing that all the way around so it looks like that, and then rotate at the waist, and then fold down at the hips, and then slide it down, and then split it apart, and then rotate it out to the side. Then finally, go ahead and take the nose and fold it forward, and then get your fingernail in there and get the heel spur out. So there's the bottom half. Now let's get the camera adjusted. Which my cord is stuck. There we go. So now with the camera adjusted here, we're going to focus on the top half. And start off, we're going to fold the rotor blades up. Surprised I didn't do that first, actually. And rotate the winch all the way around here, just so it's out of the way. And then fold these. I usually like to fold these outways, like about that far. And then rotate the helicopter engine around like that, so it's pointing that way. And then as you're rotating this piece here with the shoulder assembly, as you're rotating it back, you're also going to rotate the actual shoulder joint itself forward to get it away from the body. And then open up this door and then take the arm out, and then there goes the landing gear. And then kind of do the same on this side, just get it like that. And then I usually like to position, his arms are weird to position, we'll get to that in a minute. And then come here, take the wing or the tail fin, split it in half, and then take this section from the engine, fold that down, and as you fold it down, it's going to click into into itself in a couple places, as well as you slide it up, and then once it's all clicked into place, it pulls his head up. And then just trying to get the rotor blade. The rotor blade only does rotate one way fully, so it'll go this way forever. But if you try to spin it the other way, eventually it does hit a snag, but it's not going to do it while I'm trying to point it out in the review. So there is Evac in his robot mode. Now go ahead and take a look at that head sculpt real quick. Just getting the camera situated here. There we go. Pretty cool head sculpt. I do like it. It's a little bit of Beast Wars Neo long rack I kind of see in there, as well as just some traditional anime styles with like the horns and then the big forehead crest. It just kind of gives off a little bit of a Gundam vibe. And bringing in the LED light here, you can see that the just stark blue light piping in his head comes off really, really well there. Here we go, I like that glow. There we go, getting it right in there, and it just glows really good. So yeah, that's a very well light piped figure. I do like that. Other details that have showed up, we now have this whole chest section that has been revealed that was hidden away in robot mode. Some other cool details in there. It looks again like he's got a little bit of a rescue winch molded into his chest, as well as just a little bit other cool details that you didn't get to see before. Also, surprisingly, a lot of the hollow stuff inside his wings. I don't know how well it's coming off on my camera, since this yellow is throwing off the white balance really bad. But yeah, a lot of that actually has some additional molded detail that didn't need to be done. And other than that, there's really nothing else that wasn't in vehicle mode that we didn't see. So, taking a look at that, now we can go ahead and look at the articulation. His head is on a 360 degree swivel, so you can look all the way around. Does pose really nicely there. Both of his shoulders do rotate 360 degrees. However, the tail fin hanging off of his back does impede that a lot. You can't really bring it back very far. Besides that, we do have 90-degree elbows. As well as a swivel above the elbow. Mostly for transformation. We also do have waist articulation. Again, mostly for transformation. And if you transform it the other way where these... if you were to leave down the landing gear, that does hinder posability a lot. It doesn't allow it to fully rotate all the way around. In fact, the this joint here would end up clashing with that. So now for the hips, we do get, oh, I also forgot to mention that, yeah, due to the transformation, the joint here can also rotate out. So there's that. The hips can go all the way forward that far back before it starts clashing with a bunch of stuff, and then that far out. And then also the knees do have a very loud 90-degree bend. And then the feet are pretty much static. There's no real posability in them. You can position them to get some additional stability on the figure depending on how you want to pose them, but no real posability to mention there. Now for the play features of this guy, both the gimmicks from helicopter mode work here. We do get the winch again. Does work perfectly. And then we do get the rotor blade that can also work as a shield or a melee weapon. So we can get that. In the show, it does show that he takes this off and then uses this as like a sword. He could like break it apart and be two different swords, I think. But that can't work in this version. Now, if you really wanted to, you can also splay it out. To get that shield effect going as well. Like so. And now, this is entirely just for, I think that they just made this for collectors in mind, or were also just worried about the probability of it breaking. But these pieces are actually clicked on by mushroom pegs. And the way they are clicked on, they do also have little pieces here. So if you do hinge it at the mushroom peg, you can rotate down the tail fin so it folds cleanly up against his back. And now, well, gets in the way of the winch, but now other than that, it does clean up his backpack a lot and does allow for shelf display. Actually, really, like, that does help a shelf display a lot, because now you don't have these two giant wings sticking out that is going to clash with a bunch of other figures on the shelf. So that is a really thoughtful inclusion, if that was what it was included for. But it was never really ever featured in the show either. And like I said, those are mushroom pegged, so if they got hit just right, they just pop off. They don't break. So that's a good plus. And then for finally, the other gimmick here is the cyber key gimmick. But again, like, this one does take a little bit of messing with to get it to go, because you first have to kind of unhook the backpack a little bit and then make sure that the tail fins aren't going to get in the way, which they did there. And then the missiles form a very cumbersome over-the-shoulder missile backpack thing. It works. It works. I don't like the way it looks, but it works. So, actually kind of gives off a little bit more anime mecha vibes, but yeah. Go ahead and just close them back up. Now for size comparisons, pretty much the best size comparison I want to do is with a modern day Voyager. We're going to do the Siege Optimus Prime. Now, if we take just the head height into play here, Evac definitely is on par with a modern class or a modern day Siege or Voyager figure. Jeez. However, that being said, there's a little bit extra volume on Evac. He does have the flares coming from the cockpits on the side, as well as the tail fin being split in half. So there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot more to him than him, but there's a lot more engineering to him than there is him. So that being said, he does kind of stand on par with a modern day Voyager class figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at another Voyager class figure from the Cybertron line that I've reviewed. So Vector Prime, who is clearly taller. Evac does come on a little bit of the short side of the Voyagers. So yeah, Vector Prime does kind of just have like a good head height over him. And if she wants to stand up, display him with the other colony planet leader I have reviewed so far, Override, which actually she does want to stand up, just not how I want her to. So come on, Override, let's get there. Lately, I've been having a problem with Override's hips. The ball joint has gotten way too loose to the point where she cannot even support her own weight. So now she's kind of just standing a little hunched over just so she could actually stand up. And the future floor polish that I used to tighten her seems to have finally cured in that position too. So yeah. And then finally, get him added into the mix just because I can, and because I still love this figure so much. We're going to bring Big Blue and Red in. So the three convoys from Galaxy Force that I have reviewed so far as Cybertronian counterparts. So Optimus and Evac and Override. So Galaxy Convoy, Live Convoy, and Nitro Convoy. I do have a Flame Convoy, aka Scourge, that I plan on reviewing in the near future as well. I just don't have Megalo Convoy or Metroplex yet. Either version. So I do have a couple reviews in the near future that would be helping that out. But in the meantime, I just have these guys right now. And Flame Convoy, which I'll review at a different date. But anyways, I do, if you can find Evac for a good price, I do highly suggest picking him up. He is a very fun figure. Again, be very careful with that leg breakage. That seems, or not the leg, but the Landing gear breakage. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do to be able to fix that now, but I should be able to figure something out. If anything, I might just end up having to fuse it in place and then just never use it in the landing gear in helicopter mode, but a small price to pay. This figure is actually really good. He's also been repainted in the Universe 2.0 line twice. We got this as both Autobot blades, like the Protectobot, as just a Voyager class helicopter, and then we also got it as Springer. Neither of those molds I feel fit the bill, or neither of those characters fit the bill for this mold. But the one repaint that I do love is the BotCon Shattered Glass Galvatron. I believe it was BotCon. They did a Shattered Glass Galvatron out of this, and that head sculpt really came through looking like an updated Galvatron. So this figure actually works as a really good Galvatron. I'm tired of saying that Galvatron name over and over again, but yeah, it's a very nice figure. And if you can find it for a good price, I do highly recommend picking it up. Again, just be careful of the landing gear. It's on a very thin joint with weak plastic, and don't know if it was just me playing with it too rough or just degrading over time, but that is just something to look out for. Anyways, this has been Rancher Reviews. I hope you guys liked this video review, and I will see you again next time. Bye.